All right, class. So I wanted to post an example that's very, very similar to the practice assignment that you see on Performance Matters students. I pretty much took the questions and I just changed the numbers up a little bit. So it's in the exact same order, it's in the exact same format, just the numbers are a little bit different. So here's a nice example for those of you who may be struggling on a few of these. Remember, these two assignment grades are just solely based on completion, so just make sure you submit them by Friday night. Once I have those submitted to me, you'll get a 5 out of 5 for that. I'll try to email you guys back some feedback, but it is relatively difficult to explain how to do these over like an email or over a phone call conversation. That's why I'm trying to make some of these videos for you guys. So first example, a lot of these are tying into the stuff that we learned last week with our properties of exponents. So question number one, very, very similar to what we talked about last week, except for instead of these being whole number exponents, we're now just dealing with rational exponents. Rational exponent is just a fancy way of saying a fraction. Okay, so if we have the same base, which both of my bases here are x, and we are multiplying these, all I have to do are add my two exponents together. The tricky part here with a lot of you guys found during the unit circle was how to properly add fractions. Just remember you need to have common denominators. Okay, so first thing I want to do is just over here I'm going to write 1/4 plus 1/3. I can't add them as they are right now because they don't have the same denominator, so I want to get them to be common denominators. My least common multiple is 12. So I'm going to make both of these a 12. You can always just take the denominators and multiply them together. It doesn't always have to be the smallest fraction. Just make sure you reduce it. And then once I get this, in order to get from 4 to 12, I multiplied it by 3. So I have to multiply the numerator also by 3. 1 times 3 is 3. In order to get my second fraction 3 to a 12, I multiplied it by a 4. So I have to do the exact same thing with my numerator here. So that turns into a 4. Now, once I have the common denominators, I can just add my numerator straight across, and I get 7/12. Always double check to see if you can reduce this fraction. You cannot reduce 7/12, so your final answer is x to the power of 7/12. That is the answer to question number one, right? When you're multiplying with the same base, make sure you add your exponents. Since they're rational exponents, common denominator. All right, question number two. Another little property here was when we had a quantity and then a power raised to it. So first thing we want to make sure to remember is always distribute that outside exponent to every term on the inside. So it goes not just to the constant, but it also goes to the variable g. All right, so this becomes 8 to the power of 2/3 and g to the power. Remember, a power to a power, you are multiplying. A whole number times a fraction, you take the whole number times the numerator, which is 12, and then leave it over top of the denominator. I can furthermore simplify this, 8 to the power of 2/3, and this becomes 12 divided by 3 is a 4. All right, last thing you want to do is you want to go through and see if you can simplify this number. A couple ways you can do it. You can do it the easy way and just type it right into your calculator, or if you remember converting a rational exponent to a radical, I can take my denominator, which is my index, and I can take my base, which turns into my radicand, and then this, the numerator turns into the power here. So in a sense, I'm taking the cubed root of 64, which once again, if you know that in your head, great. If not, let's just go back to that original 8 to the power of 2/3. That gives me a 4. All right, so this right here that I circled turns into a 4g to the 4th power. All right, that is my final answer. All right, last one right here, I'll do number 3, and then I will post this video, and then there will be a second video with the next 3 questions. I now have two different expressions, and they are being divided by each other. So first thing you can kind of tackle is we can simplify these numbers. Both of these terms, 6 and 4, can be divided by 2. So right off the bat, I can reduce that to 3/2. All right, if we have the same base, k, and we are dividing instead of adding like we did for example number 1, if you have division with the same base, you are subtracting. So I'm taking 5/6 and I'm subtracting 2/3. Just like when you add, you have to have common denominators. So I only have to change the second fraction here. I can make this 3/6 by multiplying it by 2. Since I multiplied the 3 by 2 to get 6, I multiply the numerator 2 by 2 to get 4. And then now I can subtract right across. 5 minus 4 is 1, keep the denominator the same. All right, so when we simplified k to the 5/6 power over k to the 2/3 power, we get k to the 1/6 power. All right, we can leave it just like that. You might want to center the 2 underneath, but this is still the correct answer. All right, guys, I'm going to post this video, then I'm going to post another short video on questions 4, 5, and 6 that you'll see on PM Students.